Hi, this is Don Mays, and this is the fourth in the Macedon's Boyum series videos. This one is going to deal with B1 print and delivery from Boyum, and we're going to specifically address multi-language and multi-location implementation for forms and reports. Here's the business scenario. We need multi-location because we're working with Canada, and Canada has French language requirements specifically for Quebec. So we need to be able to go in and run our business in English, yet be able to send forms to any businesses that we are shipping product to in Quebec. It could be other areas of Canada as well, because there are other areas that do require French as well. We're also going to talk a little bit about how we go and print documents if we've got multiple locations around the country. So for instance, we've got printer problems. If that happens, we've got to print forms to a specific printer, because otherwise they'll be in the wrong location. So we're going to go in and do these steps right in here. We're going to flag documents requiring French. We're going to use B1 print and delivery to print and email documents in the correct language. We're going to flag documents by physical location. And then we're going to print based on printers by location and have emails composed based on location as well. Okay, so let's go directly into SAP and talk a little bit about the French language requirement. So some of the things that we might need to do is we might need to go in and set up actual French language descriptions of various things. So for instance, payment terms, we've got 2% 10 net 30. If we click the language translation, we've got the French version of that, and we need to make sure that that's set up for all of the payment terms that we're going to be using for French forms. Likewise, shipping types, any shipping types, how we ship, motor express, etc., motor exprimé, we can basically go and have descriptions for that. If we also want to go in and have descriptions of the parts, so here is a rainbow color printer 5.0. If we go to this one, we need to go in and say in the French, this is the description. So what we want to have is these documents that we're printing. We're going to use only the sales order form as our example. We want these documents to print in French when it's appropriate. And the question is when is it appropriate? So let's go into a document in sales orders, and I'll go to my last document. And this one right in here, in my logistics, you can see that I am shipping this one, a one-time shipment because there's no ship to, one-time shipment to Quebec. In this case, I've already set the language to French. I'm going to talk more about how to do that automatically. So we've set the language to French. The next thing we want to be able to do is how we want to do this is when we hit the add button on the sales order, we want to force the language code. So here we are on the sales order form. We've got a B1 validation, and on add or update, the item pressed, we're going to go in and run a SQL condition. And this SQL condition basically is looking at the address that we've got. It's either going to be based on CRD1, which is your address, ship to address. But in the case that we just shown, there is no ship to address. So we want to go and look at the RDR12, which is where SAP stores the one-time ship to address. And in either case, we're going to check for the state and set a flag to be French. And if we set the flag to be French, we're going to go in and run a universal function. And that universal function is going to do nothing more than set the language code, which is this code right in here. Okay, so when we do an add or update, it's going to check the address, set the language code, and that's the sum total of how we set up the system to go in and say, do I want to print in French? Do I want to print in English? Within Boyum, Boyum has a document called the Document Master, and this will print any form in any language, assuming that you have obviously the language code set up. So this is a standard form that Boyum provides with B1 print and delivery, and we're going to modify it a little bit to add a ship to location. So I'm going to do a ship to location right in here, and you can see that I've got a formula for the title shipping type. Let me look at that. And then here, it's just switching language based on the language. Okay, so it's pretty simple. And X language, we can go back in and look at that one too, that at X language, which is another. There it is. So it's checking. In this case, 22 is French, 3 is English. Obviously, there's many more languages that are supported. So we're going to make a little change. This report is done using header, detail, and company information, and these are all defined in SQL. So let's look first at the header, because this was not printing the ship via. Okay, so in here we've added the payment group. We can see that we're using a table called MLT1 and OMLT. That, if you go back into SAP, is where the translated language is coming from. So we've added code in here, and you'll be able to see that in my Word document even better, to allow us to go and put in terms, payment terms codes, ship via codes, all of those kinds of things, just by using the OMLT and the MLT records and storing it in the header information, so that that information becomes available when we are looking at the fields in the header. So here we've got a shipper translated variable right in here, and I inserted into the report over here. Okay, so that's essentially how we're going to do it. And I'm going to stop here and go to another video where we're going to talk about actually implementing B1 print and delivery.